Hi, I'm Allison Pryor, and today we are going to do this beautiful Eiffel Tower at sunset in acrylics. Great for all levels, so let's get started. So we'll get started on this beautiful Eiffel Tower on 16 by 20 canvas, acrylic painting, and I'm going to make it as easy as I can for you. And what I'm going to do is, very first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to use my magic white. And I'm just going to spray it on, okay? So I add water to my magic white recipe that I gave you. And I added half and half. But today I added a bit more water because I found half and half kept my canvas wet longer than I wanted it. So if you want your canvas wet a long time, then you can use the magic white recipe I gave you without water. So, and it lasts for probably an hour or more. So I'm just going to mist my canvas with my magic white. Now you don't have to do this all the time. You can use just plain water if you want. You know, if you don't want it to. It'll help blend your paints together so much easier. Alright. See, and that will just mist it up. So I'm trying to put more water than my magic white recipe. Alright, so you can experiment with the different amounts. So because we're going to have a sunset, I'm going to use the red and the yellow. And that'll make my orange and the white, black, and a bit of burnt sienna for some shadows and shading. And the brushes I'm going to use are my 1-inch bristle brush. Make sure you have bristles. See how they stick out like that? They make beautiful, great for flowers and foliage. And I have a liner brush. And I have a synthetic size 8, but you can have like a 1-inch synthetic there. And I also have 2 jars of water. I have 2 jars of water, okay, and I'll tell you why. I have 2 jars because when I am cleaning my brushes with the darker paints, the water gets really dark, and then when I'm using the lighter paints, then the water stays more clean. So that's the way I clean my brushes, in the dirty water, the darker water, and then I keep that separate from my light, clean water. Now, let's get started. So what I did was, I taped it off so I have lots of room for my Eiffel Tower, okay? And I have a pattern here for you. I'll have that pattern ready for you, and then you can just put it on here after we get the sky painted and when it's completely dry. That's why I don't want to add too much magic white, because I want it to dry, you know, fairly fast. And that'll be enough room for that. Okay? Good start. And I'm going to use this one, synthetic chiseled edge. I am going to wet it, and I'm going to put I want to make it nice and orangey, so I'm going to put on some red first. Alright, I'll mix my colors. I will mix my colors on my canvas. Alright, so here we go. Look at that. Now, if your magic white, my magic white dried a little bit because I was talking. So I'm going to add a little bit more there now. Nice and red, isn't it? Alright. So this is good because if it's watered down, at least it won't take too long to dry. But yet it'll give you beautiful blending. Look, see how it just moves. That'll blend beautifully now. Just watch. I'm going to add more red up here. And sometimes I get people say, I don't know how much paint to put on the brush. Well, I'm using a fairly big canvas, so I don't know what size you're using. But if you're using a fairly big canvas, you're going to need, to really put a lot of paint on your, right? Just really scoop it up there. So, let's get some of that on there. Nice. All right. And then I'm going to start putting on some yellow. And that will bring it up to an orangey color, see? And we get to keep a lot of our red too because we didn't mix it totally together. We're doing it on the canvas. And that helps a lot. That way you get streaks of yellow that you can keep. But if you mix that totally in one color, then you just have one orangey color. And same if you just take it out of a bottle. If you just take it out of the bottle, you don't have any of these nice yellow streaks. You got, well, I guess you could use your orange and then put yellow over it like I'm doing here. If you want to do it that way, you can. But look, I got to keep some of my yellow streaks. Isn't that nice? So now I'm going to start some more red down here. And I'm going to... Now, don't add white to brighten it up, okay? Because it'll turn pink on you. You don't want that. Just keep adding lots of yellow. Big chunks of yellow. Big chunks. Look at that. See, I can do this because I have my magic white on and because I have a large canvas. Look how pretty it is. See that? And see how it's blending? You don't have to worry about it. That's because of the magic white. See? Now, you don't have to have magic white. Use mist water. The only thing about misting with the water is that it will make your paint transparent. Okay? Now, there is some white in the magic white. So if you don't want to use magic white, but you want to keep your paint wet longer, mix half water and half blending gel or blending medium or anything, any kind of retarder or anything that extends the drying time of your paints. Mix it with water, put it in a misting bottle, and mist your canvas, okay? So now I'm going to concentrate on yellow because I have lots of red on there, so I don't need too much more. And I want to lighten it up down here on the bottom more, and my brush still has some red on it, so we don't need, I want to keep those streaks. I like those, you know. Nice. All right. Nice and yellow down there, isn't it? Yeah, I want it nice and bright down here. Look at all those streaks. That's because I didn't put it on. I didn't mix my colors, okay? It's mixing on the canvas, and I can decide how much mixing I want to do on the canvas. It's a great trick. You know, like I said, you can mix up orange if you prefer, but then you got just orange. But you can always put yellows over it if you want. But this is so much more fun. You got control. You control it, right? Isn't that pretty? Now that's not too bad. It only took a few minutes. Now, I like that. Now when that dries, I'm going to put a nice bright moon or something there, you know, but something nice and bright, okay? So now to make this have some contrast, I'm going to take my brush, and doesn't matter if there's some red on there. I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna while that's still wet, and I'm going to add little shadows up here in the corners, only because you want contrast, and you want, I find if you put darks up in the corners, it will bring the eye right into the center of your painting, okay? So if you have darks at the top and darks at the bottom, in the corners, in all the corners, that will bring the eye. Now you might have to wait for your paint to dry to do this because, oh, okay, so don't say that. So just put it on there to get that nice dark color. Alright. If you find that your magic white is drying on you, just mist it again. And if you are anxious to work and the magic white is not dry, just use a hairdryer. Alright? So I'm just going to lay a little bit of darks up here. Good. Let's get a little bit of shadows and contrast. There we go. Nice. Now see, as I put more water in it this time, it makes it dry faster, which is good because we don't want to have to pick up the dryer every minute. But yet we want to have it wet enough so that we can blend our colors together, okay? So that's why we're able to blend these colors. See how they're blending really nicely? That's because of the magic white. All right, see, you can see it. You can use the chiseled edge of your brush too if you like to have some streaks of that shadow, and turn your brush. So turn your brush a couple of different ways just to see what effects you can get. Okay, just a little bit. Nice. So if you turn to chiseled edge, you'll get some really nice streaks like that, see? And then you can turn your brush and smooth it out. Oh, that's nice. Good. All right. I'll leave that. It looks good. If you want to brighten up your yellow, you can add white to your yellow, but don't add it to your red because it will go pink. So if you want to go ahead and add a bit of white to your red, yellow, just your yellow, just add a little bit of white to it. There we go. As long as it's still wet, it'll blend nicely for you. Just showing you, that's all. I'm not going to do too much, but see how brighter that is? Stay away from the red. It should be lots of, as long as there's more yellow than red, you should be okay. Alright, so I brightened that up really nicely. And add a little bit more down here. There we go. Now blend it in. Don't leave it just sitting there right now because I'm trying to, but see how nice that is? So just find your yellow. If you find that it's turning pink on you, then don't add any more. Just blend in what you have. But you might like the pink, I don't know. Who knows? You do whatever you want. I'm just trying to lighten up my yellows. I'm trying to give you some extra tips and tricks, that's all. You know, I just like to add a few extra things there that I can give you some tips on so that you can use them for your other paintings too, right? So I want to brighten up some areas, just add some white, mix it in with your yellow, and you get some pretty nice bright colors there. Look at that. Nice. Smooth it out. Like I say, as long as you got your magic white on there, that'll all blend really pretty. Look how nice that is. Looking good. Now, what's next? Take your tape off and now let's take the bottom part and just add black, okay? Just to get something started there. Just put lots of black on your brush. Like I said, depending on the size of your canvas. So I'm just going to blacken that out there. I'm not going to worry about anything, highlights or anything like that right now, because we need to let this dry in order to do those highlights. If there's no magic white down here, if it's dry, that's fine, because you're going to put a lot of paint on there, and we don't want to add magic white because the white will lighten up your black, and you don't want that. Or you can use a clear gel, blending gel, but it'll still probably thin it out a little bit because black is pretty transparent. All right. Now, be careful underneath here, but we're going to put some, I think I'm going to put trees or buildings here. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to decide. So if I'm going to put buildings there, I'll just come over here underneath here. I might put a few trees and buildings. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it up as I go along. Trying to make it look like some kind of a cityscape, you know, like the Eiffel Tower is in the middle of a city somewhere, or it's in the middle of grass, trees. You can put the Eiffel Tower wherever you want it to. You can put it in the middle of the ocean if you want. It's up to you. It's your painting. It's your world. All right. Now I have to make a decision what I want to put here. I think I want to put a few bushes and trees and maybe see if I can put some buildings around. I'm not, let me see, just a little bit of humps of, there might be something there. Alright, so we'll just do this anyway. If I change my mind, you will probably be like, why did you make me do that? So you decide before you go ahead and add whatever you want down here, okay? You can put buildings there, tall buildings, all tall buildings. But look how beautiful those shapes are against. I didn't mean to make that one that big, but my brush kept pushing its way up. That's okay. It's nice to have different heights. Don't make them all the same height. You can turn that into a building if you want to. Alright. Looking good. Let's make a couple of different heights here. I'm just pushing my brush around, that's all. I'm not doing any tapping or anything, just trying to get some shapes right now because I don't really know what I want to do. Terrible, isn't it? Maybe there are buildings behind it. That might be an idea. What about that? There's a building. There's another one. I'm using the chisel edge of my brush. That could be grass and buildings, because we don't want the buildings too tall, because they're in the way back in the distance. There's a couple of buildings there, or one. Another one there. Look at that. Looks like a little city going on down there. Isn't that cool? Another one there. Look. You still leave the bushes because there's always trees and stuff around cities. Alright. Yeah, I like that. Some tall buildings and short buildings. Need a chiseled edge brush for this. There's a building next to it. Look at that. There's one here. Another one there. So now we got trees and buildings. A little cityscape. It's going to be cool. I like that. Alright. So make some small buildings, some tall buildings. Little tiny ones. So there's a big tree there, so you probably can't see the buildings. Make some buildings in between the buildings. Okay, we're doing good. It's a nice building there, I like that there. Now these buildings look much better now when I get the lights on them. Okay. So you can put whatever buildings you want in there. Alright, I like it. I think I'll leave it alone. Sometimes you ask, when do you know when to stop? As soon as you say to yourself, I like it, stop. Stop right away. See, isn't that cool? Looks like a bunch of city buildings and everything going on there. I like that. I really do. Now, if you want, you can have that bottom part as water. Now, I know there's roads and there's all kinds of stuff, but we are making up our own painting. And I think that would be nice because I want to reflect some lights. Or it could be a street and you can still reflect lights. Maybe it's a rainy day or something, but we'll see what it looks like. But look how cute that is already. So pretty, isn't it? Now let's try adding a few lights. I'm going to use a toothpick. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to use a toothpick because you need small lights. You don't want anything too big. I'm going to tap into some yellow and then some red. Well, yellow and white probably mostly, right? So let's just try. Let's just experiment. These are still a bit wet. Decide where you want your lights. So we'll just put a few lights here. Right? Make a layer of lights. Good. So I'm just layering them. White and yellow together. I'm leaving some of the buildings like they're on the side. So I'll just put some lights on the right. Alright, and some coming down the center. So, and then some coming across to look like there's light. And then just some that are all over the place, alright? Because some lights are on and some are off. Some buildings. Alright. I think we are good there. Now we want to reflect it into the bottom here, so as if it's water. Okay, just a little bit, not much. So let's take a fan brush and sort of separate it so you know where the light begins and where the light ends. I'm just going to take it from reflections. Just give it a little bit of just an idea. You can even lift it up just to put a little bit there and not make one big straight line, but just this nice little, just for separation. So I'd also like to get some glistening lights down underneath some of these buildings. See? Just take a bit of green or yellow and just pick some spots where you think there might be light shining underneath them. That'll give you nice reflections there also. See? That's pretty. I'm going to add a bit of white, some yellow and green. I'm just mixing up some colors here just to see what it looked like. Not everywhere, but just in some spots. And then you can also add a little bit up here just to say, well, that's why it's the shine. Let's just try to get a few colors. I don't want them too close together. Touch and pull down. Good, and maybe we can do a couple more colors. I've got to mist a little bit of magic white there just to get it to move a bit. This doesn't seem to want to move for me, so I'm going to make it move. So, that's better. And now, I'm going to add a little bit of a reddish color. And maybe just a little bit of, just trying to add a little bit of color to it there, that's all. So whatever's left over on your brush, you can pull that down. All right. And we have all this reds and yellows going on up here, so we can probably mist it. I'm going to mist it. And then I'm going to take whatever's on my brush, the orangey colors, the reds and yellows, and I'm just going to drag that across here just a little bit, maybe more in the middle here to give it some color. All right. Not too much. I don't want it to, you know, it's just reflections. It's pretty, isn't it? Adds a little drama. A little bit of drama. I like it. I think I'll leave that. I'm going to put on our tower. Our Eiffel Tower is next. I'm going to put my pattern on my canvas. I'm going to put the bottom of the Eiffel Tower right on top of these buildings and trees. That way I can adjust what I think will look better. I'm going to use carbon paper. Now you can use chalk. Just put lots of chalk on the back of this and then use a pen and trace it out. I'm going to use carbon paper. It's easier for me for There we go. When you get that traced on, then you can take it off. This might be a little tricky, but just take your time, and it's going to be more in silhouette, so don't worry about it too much. So just get a small flat brush, something fairly small so that you can work around with it. And what you need to do then is fill that in, and we're going to have to leave some openings so you can see the sky. So what I do with my paints is I put on just enough what I think I'm going to need, and that way they don't dry up on me really fast. You can also mist it with your magic white if you want to. And I just put more black there when I ran out. That way I didn't, you know, waste it, because it would be dried up on me by now probably. So, you know, just put on as much you need and then add more when you need it. So let's just fill this in here. to leave some holes. Maybe easier to do this than fill in the holes after, but let's try this. Kind of like this as a easy way to make the illusion of the Eiffel Tower, because it's all opened, right? So look, so much easier to do this than put all those little lines in there. Because you can paint any way you want. You don't have to go by anybody else's rules. Or okay. So you can just see, and that gives that illusion. See? Now we'll just paint this in here. It's more of a silhouette than anything. Use the chiseled edge of your brush to get those straight lines. That's why you need a chiseled edge brush. Or if you can't get the lines, use your painter's tape. Tape off the lines and then you can paint around them. So I'm going to fill all this in. Now if you want to leave more openings, you want to be able to see through more, you go right ahead and you can draw in all those lines that are there. That's fine. So we get those lines I drew right here, you paint over those, the carbon paper lines, so that way you don't need to try and erase them or anything, because they won't anyway. Just paint over them. And we'll add this here. The chiseled edge of your brush should give you a nice line here. Just make sure there's not too much paint on there so that you got a blob coming off. Like I just did. Alright, so we'll fill in some of this. We're going to leave some openings in different places. So draw out your lines first, the edges of them. That way you'll know where you want to leave your holes. Whoops. Well, that was a whoops, so you know I made a mistake there. But I'm going to leave it. And then we got this one here. And here. And then you can just fill that in where you want. This bigger one here. Get the line done. When you get that line done, so you can decide where you want to add some of those darks and leave some of the lights there. I think there's another one here. Alright. Trying to create illusions. Little lines are kind of faded. Then you can just add your little bits of dark colors little dots of color with the corner of your brush just to give that illusion. Right, and here too. Just dot it on. And like I say, you can certainly sit down and draw every line out. It's up to you. I'm just trying to give the illusion that you can see through it. I'm going to paint, and I'm going to decide what I want to paint black and what I want to see through, alright? With the help of my reference photo, alright? But I'm not going exactly by the reference photo. Just want you to know that you don't have to go by a reference photo. But it really helps a lot. Helps you make your own decisions. Okay, I like that. No, I don't like that. I think I'll change that, you know? Make sure you go over those carbon lines. Might leave a bit of opening there. So leave openings wherever you want. This will give you some idea where you can leave them open, where it look best. I'll bring that right down behind that building there, or that tree. Make sure you draw the lines out first. These lines here, just go over them with your black paint. That way you can work in between them then. That way you can work around them. See? See how much easier it is to just use, it's an illusion. You don't have to have perfect lines or anything. You can just paint in these little dots of color. That's what a lot of artists do, you know. You don't have to have these perfect lines, not unless you want to. Now, I mean, it depends on the kind of painting you're doing, but for certain paintings. So, this part here I put in there. Shape that up better. So just use your small flat brush again for maybe with some trees or something going on here. So we'll get some trees and we'll bring up some branches. Let's start anywhere at all. Just bring out some branches, and don't need to go real close to the tower. Just we'll bring out some branches. Brush now too. Okay, looks good. So I get a long liner brush and I'm going to put on my thinner. So I'll make my long liner brush a little wet, and then I'm just going to add some thinner ones, thinner branches. Alright, so if it won't move, just add water to your brush, but not dripping, but you know, roll it around like you put some water on your brush. And then you can roll it around, all right, in your paint. But you don't want it, you know, any water dripping off it. Now, let's get these on here. But I think that's pretty good. Now we're going to add some little leaves there. And the best brush for the leaves is this. This is the brush that I have. And I do have my name on it. Some people wanted the brushes because my name was on it, but I had to charge shipping. So, but I would just go to your local paint shop and you should be able to find these here. So they have a wooden handle on them. They're pure Bristle, right? Pure Bristle, and they got those nice tops on them, see that? And then when you start using them, they start to look pretty messy like this. But look, the tops are still pretty good. So I'm going to wet this, and then I'm going to dip it in some of my black paint. Just get the tops of them wet. I don't want big globs, okay, so I'm going to wipe some of that off. I got too much there. I might even tap some off in my tissue, see, because I want them separated. See how it's separated? Like that. So that's the way I want it, because that way then it'll give you nice little bushes like this, or leaves, right? And you can put them on everywhere. So you can put them on here like this. And some over the branches that you made, okay? And you can still see the branches though. Now, we don't want too many, just everywhere. So let's just stick on a few little ones here and there, okay, like this. See? I got them thicker up here in the corner. We put that dark paint. So dark up there really helps it pushing in towards the center. So this brush helps keep the paint separated, and that way you don't have to do, you know, little itsy bitsy leaves separate, you know, separately at a time. So I'm just gonna a few there and there, wherever you think you need them. That's all. Don't need them everywhere, just some floating ones there. Right? So that looks okay, doesn't it? Do you like it? It's kind of nice, the silhouette, yet it's got some color in it. That's what I like about it. You can add color to silhouette, it's okay. You're allowed. But it's pretty simple. So just take your small flat brush and we'll just make a little bit of light here. We'll brighten it up. Just so that, just add a little more interest, that's all. One up here and one down here. So if you got a little orange streak in between, that'd be nice. We'll add a little bit of yellow into that. Maybe a little more yellow. And then we're going to have a little bit of a reflection down here, just a small one. Just use your brush to kind of reflect that light into the water here, or it could be pavement, it doesn't matter. Whatever your imagination takes you, it's okay. Maybe a little bit of red just to got some reflection off the sky there. That's it. A little bit of white just to brighten up some areas. And that's it. I think that should do it. Now, I should leave it alone. So I think I should do it. I mean, you know, you can add little bits here and there, but I wouldn't do too much. Don't want to take away from it, but clean off your brush really good. Get some good. So much for painting along with me today. I had fun. I hope you did too. I have lots of videos, over 900 videos, so if you'd like to get your hands on those, all you have to do is subscribe. So today we are going to paint this beautiful Eiffel Tower at sunset.